Morning, grade 9. Today we're going to be looking at the poem A Green Cornfield by Christina Rossetti. By now you should have a hard copy of the poem in front of you. This is the term 1 and 2 poetry booklet that was given to you at the start of the year. If not, you can access a soft copy on my ebooks under the poetry tab. You should have also by now worked through the reading of the poem, which is the YouTube link that was attached to today's assignment. Right, so the poet, she was born in 1830 and died in 1894. She was born to Italian parents in London. She was one of 4 children. Her first poems were written in 1842 and printed in her grandfather's private press. In 1850, under the pseudonym Ellen Alien, she contributed 7 poems to the pre-Raphaelite journal, The Germ, which had been founded by her brother William Michael and his friends. Rossetti is best known for her ballads and her mystic religious lyrics. Her poetry is also marked by a strong symbolism with intense feelings. By the 1880s, recurrent bouts of Graves' disease ended Rossetti's attempts to work as a governess. While the illness restricted her social life, she continued to write poems that she compiled in later works such as A Pageant and other poems in 1881. Rossetti also wrote religious prose works such as Seek and Find, Called to be Saints, and The Face of the Deep. In 1891, Rossetti developed cancer and unfortunately passed away in London in December 1894. Her brother, William Michael, edited her collected works, but it wasn't until 1979 that her works titled Complete Poems were published, so quite a long time after her death. All right, let's work through the poem. So the first thing we look at is the title. What are the connotations with the color green? Right, we think about life, something that is beautiful, so it has quite a positive connotation to it. If you look out your window now, it's during winter, everything's quite dull and grey and almost dead, whereas opposed to summer and springtime, everything's full of life and green. First thing we notice in the first line, the earth was green. The word was shows us its past tense. And then the words green, blue, sunny, and singing, these words emphasize the happy tone of the poem. This also shows that it was a beautiful day. So once again, all the connotations of the color green: life, beauty, positivity. Let's look at the word earth, sky, and skylark. And these are all words that show us nature and the setting of this poem, which is in nature. I saw and heard one sunny morn. Okay, that morn refers to morning. A skylark hang between the two. Once again, the skylark linked to nature, and that's the picture there on the top right of your screen. Okay, it's a bird. Okay, the word hang refers to flying. The two looks at earth and sky. Okay, so the bird taking off and landing again, so flying into the sky. A singing speck above the corn. Okay, the word speck there emphasizes that the bird was indeed small. If you look at the rhyme scheme of the first stanza, blue, two, morn, and corn, this shows us an A-B rhyme scheme. Second stanza, the stage below in gay accord, white butterflies danced on the wing, and still the singing skylark soared, and silence sank and soared to sing. So the word stage, danced, and singing, as well as the word sing, all indicate theatrical imagery. So something happening on a stage, like a musical. The word gay refers to being happy, and accord is agreement. Okay, so in a happy agreement. Once again, we refer to nature. We look at the word butterflies and skylark. The word danced is personification, so the butterflies danced on the wing. The last 2 lines, and still the singing skylark soared, and silence sank and soared to sing. This refers to, or looks at, as the skylark flies, it sings as it flies. So it soars and stops singing as it lands on a branch. Look at the letter S, so still singing, skylark soared, and then even in the next line, silence sank, soared, and sing. This is obviously alliteration, but what is the effect of that? Okay, so we're looking at singing, and we're looking at the S sound. In the last line, it describes the high and low pitches of the bird singing, and that then ties up to the alliteration that is used in lines 7 and 8. Look at the rhyme scheme again. So chord, sword, wing, and sing. So we see a CD, CD rhyme scheme. In the next stanza, the cornfield stretched a tender green to right and left beside my walks. I knew he had a nest unseen somewhere among the million stalks. So the cornfield stretched. Okay, so she now reiterates that this is a large piece of land. It's a large cornfield. The word tender. Okay, what do we associate with that word? This could suggest that the green cornfield is very inviting. It was welcoming, just like a mother would be to her children. And then this ties up to the idea of Mother Nature in action. First two lines there. So the cornfield stretched a tender green to right and left beside my walks. This creates imagery that the poet was walking through the cornfield, so down a middle path between the corn. Okay, so try to start picturing the story that Rossetti is telling. The next two lines, I knew he had a nest unseen somewhere among the million stalks. Here the skylarks breed, okay, and they often breed in March and April, which is springtime in the Northern Hemisphere. And therefore, we can assume that it is a spring day, so setting day. And once again, the idea of green, full of life, okay, and it's beautiful. The he refers to the skylark, so the bird, and the nest unseen. So your skylark nests are particularly quite difficult to find as they make their nests on the ground and they hide between the vegetation on the ground. So it's very difficult to see it. And look at the million stalks, so the stalks of the cornfield. Once again, the rhyme scheme is alternating. So green, unseen, walks, and stalks. So EF, EF. And in the last stanza, and as I paused to hear his song, while swift the sunny moment slid, perhaps his mate sat listening long and listened longer than I did. So the word paused here shows us that she made a conscious effort to stop and listen. Okay, so to listen to the bird's sounds, to listen to the sounds of nature, and this is obviously beautiful to her. Okay, his song, the skylark's song. The person walking through the cornfield admires the skylark's song. While swift, okay, the word quickly, the sunny moment slid. Okay, this line there tells us that the sun was setting quickly and it's coming towards the end of the day, so there isn't much daylight left. Okay, so that tells us why the word swift is used. And there we have personification. Okay, while swift, the sunny moments slid. So sunny moments slid, personification. Okay, perhaps his mate sat listening along, so listening to the bird's song. And in the last two lines, 15 and 16, this may be implying that mankind doesn't spend enough time in nature and doesn't have enough appreciation for nature. So look at those two lines again. Perhaps his mate sat listening long and listened longer than I did. Okay, so his mate, the bird's mate, listens longer and appreciates the sounds of nature a lot more than what I did as a human being. Okay, the word maybe, the word perhaps. Okay, this word then emphasizes that the poet is unsure if the bird or nature in general is really appreciated as much as it should be. And that's really the idea of the poem that comes down to the last stanza. Okay, so implying that mankind doesn't spend enough time in nature or doesn't make enough time for nature or therefore doesn't appreciate nature enough. And, the words maybe, specifically these last two lines, emphasizes that. Have a look at alliteration here. So the L sign being used. Okay, try and think about what's the purpose of that. Okay, what sound effect does that create? And then once again, if we look at the rhyme scheme, song, long, slid, and did. So GH, GH. Okay, so the alternating rhyme scheme. So in stanza 1, it was A, B, A, B. In stanza 2, it was C, D, C, D. In the third stanza, E, F, E, F. And then now in the fourth stanza, G, H, G, H. So what is this poem really about? What's the point of it? So here the narrator is reliving a special afternoon she once spent in a cornfield. Okay, so this moment obviously impacted her. For the first time, she acknowledged the million stalks and realizes how much humans should actually appreciate the rich, fertile soil of the earth and its ability to produce food for humanity. So that's really what it comes down to, is the fact that the earth feeds us as human beings. She finds solace in watching the butterflies and pauses to listen to the skylarks, the birds, serenading one another. She unintentionally loses track of time while in the cornfield because she is treasuring each moment of listening to the sounds of the creatures and the witnessing the commonly unnoticed beauty of nature. Okay, so we look at when it speaks about how the sun sets, it tells us that she spent quite a lot of time in this cornfield listening to the sounds of the birds and really just appreciating the moment that she finds herself in. So for homework, okay, please work through the 10 questions that's in your poetry booklet, and then we'll mark this on Monday. So please make sure that it's done by then.